Welcome back, everybody. My name is Gregtech, and this is Gregtech New Horizons. So, it probably doesn't look like much has happened across my base, but I have spent all weekend working and working and working. When I last left off, I had said that I wanted to work on biodiesel, and I am still working on biodiesel. It's taken me all weekend long, basically. You can see here I have a second pyrolyze oven up and running. I also have these guys here along the sides. I've got a compressor, a macerator, and an advanced centrifuge to go along with these other two guys. And if I hop down here, I also have the pipes coming in, and I've started doing the fermented biomass down here. Now you'll see right here that I've got this group of 64 biomass cells, and that was in order to complete the biomass quest. It unlocks this quest, which is to make an advanced fermenter and then to get 64 cans of fermented biomass. So I will be working on that in the future. I did not expect it to be that way, and I wasted quite a bit making the fermented biomass, thinking that's what this quest wanted for completion. But the fermented biomass is what I was planning on using in order to make the methanol that would come over here and be used along with the peanuts to make and the fish, the peanuts and the fish from these fishers that are right up in here, in order to make the biodiesel. So I've worked all weekend getting more tin, more copper, more steel, and trying to build that second pyrolyze oven so that I can start looking at making methanol, so that I can deal with all this biodiesel that I want to create. And that basically took most of my weekend. I have only depleted, I've depleted a little more than a quarter of my circuits, the LV circuits I've made. I've got a little more than 3/4 of the MV circuits still left. I ended up making the advanced seismic prospector. I also went ahead and made the basic printer and the basic scanner so that I can do a little bit of the prospecting. And the reason for that is if I pull up my map, you can see here that I've got these spots marked out as oil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 12. And what I learned is that each oil field starts at 0, 0 and runs 8 by 8 square chunks. And then it runs like that along the way. The seismic prospector, when you're doing oil prospecting, prospects the 9 oil fields around whatever one that you have centered in. Well, you don't even have to be centered. You just have to be somewhere within one oil field, and it'll scan all 8 around it as well as the one that you're in. So I'm going to be doing that in the near future so that I can get the oil drilling rig, because I happen to have unlocked it. By doing the seismic prospector, it unlocked the oil gas fluid drilling rig as well as the ore drilling plant. And so I want to start taking a look at getting those things done. And in order to, once you've used the seismic prospector, like it says, you use a data stick on it, then you have to come over here and scan the data stick, and then you put it into the printer, you put some paper in the printer, and then you have to take that and stick it in an assembler in order to make the book that tells you what the surrounding fields have, in it. And I am hoping that one of these guys has a regular oil above 600. That way I can have oil for days, so to speak, because eventually this guy over here will run out. So that's one of the things I am looking forward to doing. My setup down here has been working out splendidly, having my diesel and having the cells come over to the EBF over here, and then the EBF turning on and running, especially for the stainless steel, the aluminum. Regular steel, it's nice that it overclocks and it gets done a full stack of steel in like 3 minutes. It is fantastic to watch the little EBF counter just count roughly 2.5 seconds for every piece of steel that you're going to make. It makes it very nice. So that's really all the changes. Just getting that pyrolyzed oven with its 6 stacks of bronze, 4 stacks of steel, and 2 stacks of iron. In particular, it was the bronze that was killing me. I had to go and I put my miner down over here in order to get enough cassiterite, and then just the amount of copper that I had along with it to get all that bronze made was quite an effort. But having that done, oops, some of the stuff I want to focus on now, I have put over here. I rearranged this thing. It may be different from the last time I showed you guys, but essentially I'm looking at the oil drilling rig, the clean room and vacuum freezer, still working on getting, biodiesel there done, and then also wanting to play with Thaumcraft still with that Argentia furnace. For the biodiesel, I am down to just the 2 LV fluid extractors in order to extract the seed oil and fish oil, and then an LV distillery in order to make the methanol from the fermented biofuel, or fermented biomass. Yeah, fermented biomass. So the next time I get to play, I will be focusing on that. The 2 LV fluid extractors should be pretty simple. Running power to them all long enough for them to kickstart their own biodiesel, at which point it should be able to run on biodiesel with a surplus. So I look forward to getting that done as well. So I will bring you guys back in when I have more to show off, and I'll see you in a bit. Well, I'm back again, and since the other day, when I recorded last, I decided to try my hand at doing the high-speed charcoal in order to get the, the advanced coke oven. And I've done the nether brick, the hot nether brick, and now I'm working on this last little bit here. You can see it, they want 68 infernal and 68 coke oven bricks. So let me just show you my setup real quick, past my noisy setup there. Over here you can see that I have a chemical bath as well as a high voltage fluid tank, and then over here is my EBF. And so what I was doing was I was making the nether bricks upstairs with the alloy smelter, tossing them in here with the oxygen, and I waited until all 68 were here. Now, the cool thing about the output bus is that you can put stuff into it. So I was actually expecting the thing to tick kind of like it does when you have the molten polyethylene, because it does say it's a hot brick, except that it wanted you to hold it. So I was guessing it wasn't going to do too much damage to me. So I popped this open, pulled them out, held on to them for a second, popped back in, tossed 4 of the hot ones back, and then tossed the other 64 into the chemical bath. And I've got bats again. Fantastic. And then in the high voltage fluid chest, I had the 68 IC2 coolant. And if we do go back over to my distillery setup, I have this fluid tank right here because I used this mixer without removing it from where it was in order to mix it, and I ended up screwing up an output and it flooded me with extra heavy fuel, so I've been putting it back into the system this way here. So I've been just running as much fuel as I possibly can through there, waiting until this finishes up, and then I have my bronze fluid pipe that I can stick back there in order to get those back around. Oh, and it's nighttime again. Go ahead and go to sleep. And then over here, I ripped out all of the coke ovens now, so none of the coke ovens are over there anymore. And then I've been over here and I've been crossbreeding several different crops. I've been trying to get these guys to double up on them. I've got a couple here of the nickelback, and then right over here is the what is that one? The aurelium, I think it is. No, aurelium's gold. Let's take a look. I don't have any there like that. Argentia. There we go. The argentia, or something like that. Anyway, I've been slowly getting a few different crops. I've got the some of the glow flowers here that grow really fast. I've got some reed that I'm trying to get some stickweed from, because there is a quest for stickweed. Here is the thyme that I had over there. Here is the Olivia I had over there. Unfortunately, even though I do have one of these spades here, it did not give me the seed for my for the tier the whatever it is, the tier stalks. So unfortunately, I am still trying to crossbreed the tier stalks again. But I've had a few spots where I've been trying to get a couple of different crossbreeds. I need to stick an iron block underneath this guy so that I can start getting it to grow up more. Once it grows up all the way, I want to try again with the spade and try and actually get a seed from it so that I can move it somewhere and start working on getting more of them versus having the one right there. That's what all this is for. I'm kind of some of this I'm just holding, like this guy right here. This is hops, and the hops are actually part of a quest here in the farming and cooking. I did wait until I had 32 unknown seeds, and then it unlocks this, and there's one of them right there, is to have 8 hops. So I'm working on getting the 8 hops. I had already built the crop analyzer, so I just need to make a computer monitor cover and hold a good circuit at the same time in order to complete this quest. And then otherwise I'm just slowly working on some of these different quests here, like maybe the crop patron and so on and so forth. From there, that's pretty much all I've been doing. I've been trying to get some different crossbreeds of the crops, and then trying to work on this advanced coke oven. I've been watching other people with their videos, and Benzene is looking like a possible viable fuel. Benzene would be nice. It runs, I think it runs a little bit more power than, well, let's just look real quick. If we go and do Benzene, there's a Benzene cell, right click it, and yeah, it runs 288,000 in there, and I want to say that might be the same as light fuel. Let's see here, light fuel cell. Light fuel cell's a little bit higher than it, and then the heavy fuel cell, yeah, it's a little bit more than the heavy fuel cell, not quite as much as the light fuel cell, but it is a renewable resource off of trees. And so that's why I'm looking at doing that. What you do is you take the trees, you stick it in the advanced coke oven, and you just get coal out, so you don't have to worry about dealing with creosote. And then you take the coal and you put it into one of these fluid extractors, and you get out a coal tar, and then the coal tar you can stick in, I believe it's a distillery, and get out the benzene that you can then power a base with. And if you're using only the LV machines, you can actually be power positive and get quite a bit of stuff out of it. So that's why I want to play with it and at least see how good it is, and maybe power part of my base with benzene while I'm working through this HV tier. So that's, I haven't added it to my list yet. It will go up on the list as I get things going. But that was just to give you guys an update of what I've been doing so far today. Just trying to get those. Oh, wait a second here. I can as the bird is making a ton of noise behind me, I can grab this last little bit here, and as soon as the extractor, the nice thing is those you can compress the coke oven bricks into the blocks, and then you can also extract the blocks back out to the same number of bricks, and that will get the high-speed charcoal done there. So now I can do the advanced coke oven, which I believe, yeah, another blast furnace with oxygen gas, so I'm going to need 68 more oxygen out of my electrolyzer. So I'm going to go work on that, and I'll bring you back in maybe once I've got my coke oven set up. Well, I'm back again, and quite a bit has happened since the end of the last video. I have not set up my advanced coke oven yet, but I did get quite a bit of other things done. I've basically checked off everything on my list for biodiesel. I have my 2 basic fluid extractors. You'll see there's 14. My LV distillery and a low voltage transformer, an MV distillery, and an advanced gas turbine. And that is because I am looking at doing a benzene setup in addition to my biodiesel setup. I essentially have everything I need at this point in order to do both benzene and biodiesel so that I can then start powering my base with something that isn't the diesel. It's renewable. The benzene will make use of that advanced coke oven along with the fluid extractors, the trash cans, the distillery, and a gas turbine in order to make benzene, along with the LV transformer in order for the power to go to the fluid extractors. So essentially, once it gets up and running and I've started producing some benzene, the gas turbine will continue to produce more power for the fluid extractors, producing more benzene and causing a cycle that way. And it is power positive, so again, once you get it up and running and fueled enough for it to start doing its thing, it can power itself just fine. And then the reason I'm going with the biodiesel is because it is also renewable with either the peanut farm or with my array of fisheries over there. So the idea is that I probably am going to rearrange this. I don't like having it off to this side. I actually want to move it more like right along here. So reroute this pipe here, run it along this way, and then I can either go straight down underneath here. So I can either come down here and clear out some of this stuff and do it down here, or I can do it upstairs there by just routing the peanuts and stuff upstairs. You can see I've already begun, and let's try and get over that. All right, there we go. I've already cleared away straight through to my other setup. I just need to drop it down by another 4 blocks in order to run that around. This is essentially going to be a subfloor. What I was looking at doing is making this pathway here 4 high, cover this with concrete, and then I can use it to run cables and stuff, and then I want to lower everything else by another 4 blocks so that I can have a 7-block high working area. So I can run my pipes and stuff and they won't be seen and they'll be up in the ceiling and all that type of stuff. We'll see if I actually get around to doing that. But both of these setups, I can do basically all of it off of the wood, the saplings, and then the peanuts and the fish in order to get both a benzene and a biodiesel setup. The biodiesel is necessary in order to get the glycerol, which is necessary for some other things that I need to set up down the line. The biodiesel is also power positive when you convert it to cetane as opposed to regular diesel, which I think has a slight power loss when you convert it to cetane just based on the machines that you're using and how much power it takes to do those things. So that's where I'm headed with those things. I don't know where I'm going to set it up yet. My base, I keep having all these grand ideas on what I want to do with my base. But here is the other mess that I have been working on. In the Discord channel, people were telling about different plants and stuff that you'll want to make use of. And so let me just clean up these weeds real quick here. I've been trying to get a few key plants, namely... I was trying to get, I believe it's this group of plants right here. Let's see. Cropanylizer. No, not that one. This one right here. The Galvania. Galvania, when it's fully grown and you can harvest it, will give you the Galvania leaves. And the Galvania leaves do something interesting. You can combine them in a chemical reactor with the crushed zinc ore in order to quadruple it and get a little bit of tin out. You can do it with crushed sphalerite ore to quadruple it, and but no extra little product. And then you can do the same thing with the sulfur ore and just getting it quadrupling your sulfur. Now the sulfur I usually don't have too much problem with. There's not a ton that I'm doing with sulfur. It's the other two that are interesting. The crushed zinc ore gets you the purified zinc ore, and that's not exactly helpful, except that you can thermal centrifuge it for the tiny piles of gallium. Likewise, if you go to the purified sphalerite, you can, it's not the thermal centrifuge for this guy. Instead, what it is you want, you want the sphalerite dust itself, either by hammering it or doing whatever it takes in order to get the dust, and then you can electrolyze it, and there's a 25% chance from each of those, well, every two of those, to get a tiny pile of gallium dust. So essentially these are your two methods for really getting gallium dust until I can reach the HV macerator. Once you finally reach the HV macerator, that's when the zinc ore really comes into play, because after you've thermal centrifuged it, you can then pulverize it and get a 10% chance in the universal macerator to get a large pile of the gallium dust. So this plant is pretty integral to what I'm trying to do. I was trying to breed it. You can see all the different plants that I've got. Nickelback is good for getting nickel. This one right here, Titania, is good for titanium. I've got this guy, Spider Nip, which is good for string. Over here, I have Witherreed, which gives you coal products, and I'm trying to cross it in order to get Blazereed, because Blazereed will get me the blaze rods, and the blaze rods, I'd like to have a renewable source that doesn't involve me having to go and kill blazes. I have Ferru here. Ferru is nice because it can purify the iron ores in order to quadruple those. Boxia is necessary once I get to the moon in order to quadruple the aluminum-containing ores there. There's just some moss. This guy is also important, Copon. At first I thought someone was joking and messing around with me, because I thought copper, oh yeah, copper, not a problem, not a big deal, I can get lots of copper. I am constantly out of copper. Right now my miner is going on gold. It's just over here, over this wall, working on gold. But I am constantly having to go for copper. And the nice thing about Copon is that you can, oops, with the Copon, you can combine it again in the chemical reactor, in this particular case with crushed malachite. And the crushed malachite will give you the 4 purified malachite. From there, the thermal centrifuge isn't as important, but sifting it is. If you notice, when you sift it, you've got a 50% chance for the malachite dust, which you would be getting if you hammered that anyway and then centrifuged it. And then you also have these other chances to get these small bits of malachite gems. And the nice thing is that the malachite gems also grind up into malachite dust. And then from the malachite dust, yes, you could smelt it into just copper. But the better thing that I've been told to do is to actually take it over to the blast furnace with some carbon and triple, well, 2 to 3 your copper that way, or better yet, you can 2 to 3 in the primitive blast furnaces with either the coal coke or the coal dust or whatever in those lines and get out triple the copper. So essentially you go from 1 ore to 2 crushed to 8 purified to sifting it, and you're working on getting as much copper as possible. And again, when I first heard it, I thought people were joking, like, haha, I don't really need that much copper. No, I am constantly having to go and stick my miner down over like the chalcopyrite, and I'm getting more stuff put up into my ore processing facility up there for copper because I can't get enough copper. And I'm assuming it's only going to get worse. I took a ton of it to build both of those pyrolyzed ovens. So yeah, that is something that I will be working on. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. But as you can see, I am working on the biodiesel and the benzene, and hopefully I can get both of those guys up. And then when you join me in the next video, they'll be up and running, and I'll have 2 new sources of power. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till then.